Dimension 0. Before there's anything, there's a point. At least, it's the most fundamental thing the human mind can imagine. No length, no width, no height. You can think of it as nothing more than a location. Mathematicians adore this simplicity because every position can be described using just one number. Whether your coordinate is 3, -50, or 1 trillion, that single value tells the entire story of where you are. An object in this dimension is something that exists at a single position, but takes up literally no space in any direction. Think of it this way: you can't move inside a point. There's nowhere to go. It's the most basic building block of geometry and math, the thing everything else is built from. It may seem trivial at first, but every single thing you will ever see, touch, or experience is made of structures that trace back to this. A line is just a series of points. A shape is points connected by lines. A 3D object is shapes stacked on top of each other. Everything starts here, in a dimension with literally zero room to exist. Dimension 1. Now, if you take that point and line up an infinite number of copies of it, you get a line. One dimension means you can only move forward or backward. That's your only option. No turning, no going up, no going sideways. Just one axis stretching out in two directions. A one-dimensional creature, if such a thing existed, would have absolutely no concept of left or right. It would experience its entire universe as a single strip, like an ant trapped in a crack on the sidewalk with no way to step out. From a one-dimensional perspective, you can't get around anything. If there's an object blocking your path on a line, you are completely stuck. There's no going around it. There's no other way. Your entire universe is just blocked. Just like the point, this might seem unimportant at first, but one-dimensional math is the foundation of how we describe motion, speed, and sequences. It's fundamental to everything that follows. Dimension 2. Now, add a second direction to that line, and you get a flat surface. In other words, a flat plane. Now you can move forward, backward, left, and right. You've got area. You can draw shapes, build maps, create grids. Imagine the world of an old-school 2D video game. 2 dimensions is the world of shadows. Everything you see on a screen right now, every drawing, every photograph, every map, those are all 2-dimensional representations of things that exist in higher dimensions. Some theories even suggest that higher dimensional beings would appear just as impossible for us to perceive. If you were a 2-dimensional being, you wouldn't have any concept of depth, just like a sheet of paper. Of course, a real sheet of paper does have thickness, but imagine it as perfectly flat for the sake of simplicity. You couldn't see a 3-dimensional object as a whole. You'd only see it as a flat cross-section slicing through your plane. It would be like looking at a single MRI slice instead of the entire body. Going back to the paper analogy, imagine a ball passing through a flat piece of paper. From the paper's perspective, the ball starts as a dot, grows into a circle, then shrinks back into a dot and disappears. That's all a 2D being would ever perceive of a 3D object, just a weird changing shape appearing from nowhere. Dimension 3. And now we've reached the highest dimension our eyes can directly perceive. We can understand higher dimensions mathematically, but we can't actually see them. The third dimension adds depth to the 2 we already had. Now we have a full 3-dimensional space to move through. Length, width, height. The world where you eat, walk, breathe, and live. Everything you physically interact with lives here. The chair you're sitting on, the planet beneath it, the universe as far as you can see. That doesn't mean higher dimensions don't exist. It just means we can't perceive them visually. There's no cosmic rule that says reality has to have exactly 3 spatial dimensions, but in pure math, you can add dimensions indefinitely without anything breaking, which is exactly what comes next. Dimension 4. Okay, so here's where it stops being high school geometry and starts getting actually weird. The 4th dimension is time. And before you say, yeah, I've heard this, here's the thing most explanations skip. Time isn't just something that happens to you, it's a dimension you move through, in the same way you move through space. You might be wondering, how can I move through something I can't even see? It may be difficult to wrap your head around, but the movie Interstellar gives a surprisingly good visualization of the idea. Think about it this way. You have a plane ticket and you're waiting at the departure gate. You're standing in exactly the right place in 3D space. But what if you were there on the wrong date? Let's say 1 day later. You obviously wouldn't be able to board the plane because it would no longer be there. If you get any one of the 4 dimensions wrong, you wouldn't be able to catch that flight. Hopefully that analogy makes the idea a little easier to visualize. In physics, every event in the universe has 4 coordinates. 3 spatial ones telling you where something is, and a time coordinate telling you when it is. Together, these form what physicists call space-time. Einstein showed that space and time aren't separate things, they're a single fabric, and they warp together in the presence of gravity. This is why GPS satellites have to account for time dilation. The satellites orbit at high speed and are farther from Earth's gravity well, which means time literally runs slightly faster for them than it does for us on the ground. Without correcting for this, GPS would drift off by miles within a single day. Your GPS could lead you to completely different locations than the ones you intended. That's why the 4th dimension is real, measurable, and your phone depends on it to function correctly. The difference between the 4th dimension and the first 3 is that in space-time, we can only move in one direction through time. You can pick your path through 3D space pretty freely, but when it comes to time, you're just along for the ride. After all, we can remember the past and anticipate the future, but we only move in one direction. That limitation is going to become very relevant by the time we hit Dimension 5. Dimension 5. Up to the 4th dimension, everything still feels familiar. You move through 3 dimensions of space while time quietly carries you forward. Your life seems like a single path, one beginning, one ending, and every decision permanently etched into that journey. But what if it isn't the only path? Welcome to the 5th dimension. This isn't another direction in space, nor is it more time. It's the dimension of possibility. Imagine your life isn't a single story, but an entire library. Right now, you're reading just one book. Sitting on the shelves around it are countless other versions, each written from a different choice you could have made. The college major you never picked, the flight you decided not to board, the message you almost sent, the opportunity you passed up because it seemed too risky. Every decision creates another branch, not because the universe rewinds and starts over, but because every possible outcome exists as its own complete timeline. Think of a chess grandmaster. While you're focused on your next move, they're already visualizing dozens of possible games unfolding at once. The 5th dimension works the same way. It doesn't contain one future, it contains every future that could naturally emerge from the same starting point. If a 5-dimensional being could observe your existence, it wouldn't see just the person sitting here right now. It would also see the version of you who became a scientist, the one who moved across the world, the one who followed a completely different dream, and the one who never crossed paths with the people who shaped your life. To that being, asking which one is the real you wouldn't make any sense. They're all real. From our perspective, time looks like a straight line stretching from the past into the future. From the 5th dimension, that line becomes an enormous branching tree. You're simply walking along one branch, completely unaware of the countless others growing beside it. Ideas like these appear in interpretations of quantum mechanics and certain multiverse theories. None of them have been experimentally confirmed, and physicists continue to debate whether these alternate timelines actually exist or whether they're simply useful mathematical descriptions. Somewhere, there may be another version of you who made every choice you didn't. Dimension 6. The 5th dimension showed you every possible version of your life, every choice, every missed opportunity, every alternate future branching from the exact same universe. What if the universe itself had a different past? Welcome to the 6th dimension. Imagine every possible 5-dimensional timeline collapsing into a single point. Now imagine countless other universes, each with its own completely different history, existing right beside it. Maybe Earth never formed. Maybe the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs missed by millions of miles. Maybe intelligent life evolved somewhere entirely unexpected. The 6th dimension isn't about changing your story anymore. It's about changing the universe that made your story possible. Think of history as an enormous movie. In the 5th dimension, you're watching every possible ending of the same movie. In the 6th, you're watching completely different movies that all started with different opening scenes. Some worlds never produce humans, some never produce planets, some never even produce chemistry as we know it. Yet each one follows its own complete and internally consistent history. If a 6-dimensional being could observe reality, it wouldn't simply watch alternate versions of your life. It would compare entire universes the way you compare photos in an album. It would be an almost godlike perspective. Here's the unsettling part. Your existence depends on an absurd chain of events stretching back nearly 14 billion years. Every star that exploded, every planet that formed, every ancestor who survived long enough to have children, all of it had to unfold with astonishing precision. If you change just one link in that chain, you disappear. not because you died, because you were never possible to begin with. Scientists have explored ideas similar to this through cosmology, inflationary models, and certain interpretations of the multiverse. None of these concepts have been experimentally confirmed, and they remain highly speculative, but they offer a fascinating way to imagine just how many different histories reality could have written. The universe you call home may not be the only story that could have existed. It may simply be one chapter in an unimaginably vast collection of cosmic histories, each beginning differently, each unfolding differently, and each ending in ways we'll never experience. Dimension 7. By the time we reached the 6th dimension, we had already abandoned the idea that there was only one history of the universe. But despite all those differences, they were still operating under the same fundamental laws of physics. Gravity worked the same way it always does. Light always traveled at the same speed. Electrons, protons, and the forces holding them together all followed the same rulebook. The 7th dimension throws that rulebook away. Instead of asking, what if history unfolded differently? It asks, what if the laws that created history were never the same to begin with? Imagine taking every possible 6-dimensional collection of universes and compressing it into a single point. Now place another point beside it, except this time the universe isn't running on slightly different events. It's running on completely different physics. The gravitational constant has changed. The strength of the electromagnetic force is different. Maybe the strong nuclear force is just a little weaker, or maybe light doesn't even have a universal speed anymore. Those sound like tiny adjustments, but they're anything but. Increase gravity enough, and stars burn through their fuel far too quickly for planets to develop life. Decrease it too much, and stars might never form at all. Change the strength of the strong nuclear force, and atoms either become unstable or never exist in the first place. Chemistry disappears before it even has a chance to begin. A 7-dimensional being wouldn't see our universe as something unique or special. It would simply see it as one successful combination of physical constants among an unimaginable number of others. Some universes would last for billions of years. Others would collapse almost instantly. Some might contain structures we couldn't even recognize because our mathematics and language were built to describe only this particular version of reality. This idea actually appears in several areas of modern theoretical physics. Certain cosmological models and versions of string theory suggest that different regions of reality could settle into different physical constants, creating universes that operate under entirely different laws. None of this has been experimentally confirmed, and it remains highly speculative, but it illustrates just how sensitive our own universe really is. The remarkable part is that the constants we observe seem to fall within an incredibly narrow range that allows stars, planets, chemistry, and eventually life to exist. Whether that's evidence of deeper design, pure coincidence, or simply the result of us living in one of the few universes capable of producing observers, is still one of the biggest unanswered questions in physics. So, while the 6th dimension explored every possible history of reality, the 7th explores every possible version of reality itself. At that point, you're no longer asking how the universe could have evolved differently. You're asking how many completely different ways a universe could exist in the first place. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.